Okay, there we go. Okay, thanks for that reminder. Okay, so like I was saying just now, I have thrown a little extra, so backlog population and navigating the Azure Springboard. The reason I've done that is because I'd like to see, or I'd like you to see this in practice. So I don't just want us to talk about it. I'll show you how to use it or how to put it into practice on the Azure board. Okay, so let's get started. So for the purpose of this session, we're going to be looking at epics, features, user stories, acceptance criteria, and then, as I said earlier, we look at the Azure board and how you can populate the Azure board with product backlog items. Because essentially, as a business analyst, you will be working with some people call them user stories, some people call them product backlog items, some people call them tickets, whatever name. Don't get hung up on the name, right? You just kind of like stick to what works in whatever team you are. So when I say whatever team, I'm talking about outside Blue Sky. When you eventually get those jobs, you want to kind of align with the ways of working in the team that you're joining. So whatever they call it, that's what you call it. Product backlog items, or user stories, or tickets. So it all depends on what has been agreed in your team. Okay, right. So let's start with epics. So from the notes you can see here, epics are high-level body. They are high-level bodies of work that are bound together in a group of related stories. So what this means is that they are large pieces of work that can be broken down into smaller and more manageable work items, tasks, or user stories. So they are high level. So what that means is that if you look at an epic or the title of an epic, you're not going to get too much information from it. It's just high level. So it's the kind of thing that you can, so for example, well, there are further examples down the line. I'm going to give examples, but if you think about it, when you hear high level, you think about senior management, isn't it? Like they don't really want to know like all the little tickets and the user stories you're writing about. Writing. What they want to see is, at the end of the day, when you finish all this work, what are you hoping to achieve? So for example, an epic could be maybe create a website. For example, it all depends. And these epics, depending on the organization, your epics might be really big or they might be smaller. It all depends on the amount of work, that you are taking on. Okay, so epics are used to describe more complex tasks, and they create a clear hierarchy that makes it easier to manage development and help deliver new value to the users while working towards a bigger goal. So they are complex tasks, and as the word implies, something that's complex will have to be broken down into tinier bits that are deliverable. Okay, so what that means is that an epic might not be easily achieved in a few weeks or months even, but if you break it down to smaller bits, then it's possible that you can achieve, you can complete it, or you can develop those smaller tasks within the sprints. I'm sure by now we already know that we have sprints, and the sprints last for 2 weeks, depending on the organization as well. Some people have their sprints for 1 week or 2 weeks or a month even, but in Blue Sky we maintain 2 weeks, and in my place of work as well is 2 weeks. Even in the different projects I've worked in, 2 weeks, right, for your sprint duration. So what we're saying is that the epic cannot be completed in one sprint. So it's a big piece of work that has to be broken down. Just think about the epic like a grandfather, okay? And obviously grandfathers have children that are referred to as fathers, and fathers have children, grandchildren. So look at the epic in that sense. It's a big piece of work. Right, and then we move on to the next one. Remember I said we're going through epics, features, user stories, acceptance criteria. Okay, so features. Now, features is just kind of further down the line. So remember how I've referred to the epic as the grandfather. let's picture the feature as the father. So the son of the grandfather is the father. Okay, so a feature is a service or function of the product that delivers business value and fulfills the customer. In fact, that is quite vague, but let's go into more detail. In essence, epics are broken down into features. Okay, so a feature is a chunk of work from the epic. So it simply means that a collection of features can make up an epic. I hope we understand so far. If you have any question, please shout, as in interrupt me, stop. Don't wait till the end, okay? Because I might have forgotten, and yeah. But if you have any questions, just shoot immediately. So a collection of features will form an epic, okay? So again, picture it in your mind, grandfather and father, okay? So a feature is a chunk of work from the epic. It's a deliverable that adds value and moves towards completing the epic. What does that mean? Remember I said that an epic is a collection of features. So it means that when you deliver a feature, you're working towards eventually completing the epic. So for example, you might have an epic that has 5 features underneath it. So with every feature that you complete, you're working towards completing the epic. At some point, you complete all 5, and that will be all features completed, meaning that the epic has been completed. Do we understand so far? Or rather, let me flip that. Any questions at this point? I would take that to mean no, and we move on.
Hello, sorry to bother you. Yeah, I think I've got a question.
It's no bother at all, please. Yeah,
Sorry?
it's no bother. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just because I think I joined about maybe a minute or two late
Okay.
because I was on the other call. So what I wanted to ask is you mentioned that it depends on the organization that is
Yeah.
being called ticket, user story and all of that. I just want to know what you meant that there are different names depending on the organization. Which one
Yeah,
were you talking about? That's when
exactly.
I joined.
Okay, so all right, okay. Yeah, I was referring to user stories. Let me just
Okay,
quickly
okay.
take that back. Is it open?
Yeah, this was right. Yeah.
Let's see. So I was referring to user stories. In fact, that was when I was talking about product backlog items, populating the Azure board. Okay, so you see, if you look at this page, you can see epics, features, user stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
So starting from the top, you've got the epics, and like
Yeah,
what
I
we just
understand
said,
what you just
the
explained.
epics,
Yeah,
yeah. So
I
yeah,
understand the features as well.
yeah. So yeah, just hold on. I need to walk my way, walk you through start to finish. So the epics, like, is a band of features, right? And then the features as well hovers over the user stories. So a collection of user stories will form your features. A collection of features form your epics.
Mm-hmm.
Together. So it's the user stories that I was referring to. Now, I said at some point we're going to do, so I'll first talk us through writing up the user stories and acceptance criteria. And the second part of this session will be backlog population / navigating the Azure Springboard. Now, what that means is that I will show you in practice how you can create these user stories, acceptance
Mm-hmm.
criteria on the Azure board. Okay, so this was where I was going. I said on the Azure board, we call them product backlog items, right? The user stories, they're called product backlog items, right?
Okay.
However, some people can refer to them as tickets,
Okay.
or
That's
some
what I
people
need.
can call, yeah, or some people can call them, what was the other thing I said now? Yeah, user stories or product backlog items or tickets, yeah, depending on the.
Okay. All right. That's right. Yeah. Thank you.
Cool, no worries. All right, so where were we? So we've talked about epics, right? We've talked about epics being high level bodies of work that band together a group of related stories, right? Now we then went further down to say epics can be broken down into features, meaning that a group of features can form an epic. And once you're ticking off those deliverables, those features, you are moving towards completing your epic. Now, further down the hierarchy is what we call user stories or product backlog items or PBIs, or some will just say tickets. But let's stick with user stories or product backlog items, right? Okay, so what's a user story? Short, simple descriptions of a feature told from the perspective of the person who desires the new capability, usually a user or customer of the system. That seems like a mouthful, right? But simply put, a user story is just telling us what value are we going to, so like, what are we trying to achieve? So that's why it's a short description of a feature. But then again, there's something that's really important. It is told from the perspective of the person who desires the new capability. But then this is where it could get tricky. You are a business analyst, right? And you're going to write a user story on behalf of the person that wants the new capability. So when you're writing the user story, you're putting yourself in the place, in the stead of the business that you're working for, or the person or the team, that wants that new capability. So you're saying me, you're talking as if you're the one that's going to enjoy the benefits of that new system or the new capability or the new feature, whatever we call it. Okay, so you write it from that perspective. Please do not forget this. This is really important. You write it from the perspective of the person. So you are standing in the, let me say standing in the gap. You are writing it as if you are the one that is going to end up using it, as if you were the user. So it's the user story. User story talks about how a particular bit of feature will offer something of value. So we'll see that described as we go on. So of course, we have to think about what are the benefits, of writing user story. And on this slide, we have that the main aim is to put end users in the center of the conversation and capture product functionality from their perspective. You remember we said in the previous slide that they're simple descriptions told from the perspective of the user, isn't it? So the main benefit of writing a user story is so that we can capture, what the end user is going to enjoy. I don't know, I should stop using that word enjoy. We want to capture, the product functionality from their perspective. So what is the value that's going to be delivered to the end user once that product or system has been developed? Okay, and it also means that you are always thinking about the end user. That is why it is a user story. So you are standing, remember, as a business analyst, you are standing in the gap, kind of bridging the gap between IT, right, and the business. So the business wants something, they tell you what they want, and then it's your responsibility to document those requirements in a format that the development team can understand, So you're bridging the gap. The development team, they're the developers, the testers, they're IT, and then you're standing to bridge the gap. That's essentially what you're doing as a business analyst. So if you're creating something for me, wouldn't you want to create something that I would be able to use? When you think about it that way, that's where you see how important the user story is. Because you don't want it to be that you've developed something, the development team, they've put in so much effort and time, they developed something that's not fit for purpose. You see, the last paragraph says, and so the developers get a better understanding of that's what they are developing, for whom they are developing it, and why they are developing or building whatever it is. Okay. So more on the benefits of user stories. It focuses on the user and their needs. Again, you want to make sure you have user-friendly solutions, isn't it? They allow for equal amounts of understanding and collaboration, and they drive creative solutions. So what that means is that when you write a user story, you break it down. You break it down to the point where there's no ambiguity. Everybody's on the same page, right? We all understand what we're trying to achieve. So that's why we're saying it allows for equal amount of understanding and collaboration. Okay, and then it drives creative solutions. When we, as we go on in this training, you eventually realize that your user story backed with the acceptance criteria will form the basis for a lot of discussion. So when you go to your refinement meeting, that will be the basis for your refinements, your user stories. That's what they'll be discussing. And it says it helps you drive creative solutions, because that's when the developers would then say, okay, we're trying to develop, we're trying to provide a solution, right? What's the best way to go about it? And that's where they start coming up with creative ideas, on how best to achieve the results that is desired. Okay, so we're going to the principles of invest. What is a good user story? So we're saying a good user story should have the following, and we call them invest. Or rather, we call this the principle of invest. So INVEST. If you notice, if you go down the page, you will see independent, negotiable, valuable, estimable, small, and testable. The first letter of those words, if you put them together, it forms the word invest. Okay, so what does invest mean? So what we're saying is that every good user story must adhere to these to the principle of invest, as in they should have these characteristics. It should have these characteristics. So we can now go in detail. What does it mean? Independent, negotiable, valuable, estimable, small, and testable. What does that mean? So a good user story should be independent. Independence. It means that it should be as independent as possible. So when thinking of independence, you don't want to put a story, for example, first. Like, you don't want to put the cart before the horse. So yeah, the horse is usually before the cart, right? You don't want to put the cart before the horse. It should be a standalone story, not that the story is dependent on another story before it can be worked on, right? The stories can be worked in any order. So when you're putting the stories together to take to sprint, they can be worked in any order. And this helps us to be able to properly prioritize our user stories. So a good user story should be independent. The second one is negotiable. What this means is that a user story is not a contract. So it's not like do this, do this, do that. Remember what we talked about in terms of the benefits of a user story. We said they form the basis for creative solution and design ideas, right? So negotiable means that when you write your user story, it's not the be all and end all, right? It's not like, oh, Madam BA is here, this is the user story, it's either my way or the highway. It's not, that's not how it is. When you come with the user story, it's negotiable because the whole team has to discuss and think about how best to deliver that solution. Is it even realistic? So it's an opportunity to discuss. It's an invitation. It's an invitation to have a conversation. It's not like an order. Okay, so negotiable. Valuable, what that means is that you should be, so we know, like, when you finish developing something, there will be value, but you should be able to show in the story the value that will be derived at the end of development. Okay, so you don't just want to put a story where we cannot quantify the benefits that the user will derive from the completion of that story. So good user story has to be valuable. Estimable, this is another important one. Remember, we broke down the epic to, we said epics, and then we went down to features, and then we went down to user stories. Now, estimable, you want to be able to estimate. So when you've written the story, it must be such that everybody in the team can say, okay, this is how complex, we understand how complex this story is. So we can say it's going to require this amount of effort, okay, to develop it. So a good user story must be at a point where the whole team can agree on an estimate, meaning they can agree on how much effort is required to develop that story. Small, again, remember we talked about sprints, right? A good user story should not be one that's so big that you cannot complete it within a sprint. That is an epic. That might be a feature, but not a user story. A user story should be small enough that it can be completed in a few days, or within the sprint. If it's too big to be completed within a sprint, then it is no longer a user story. It should probably be upgraded to something else, maybe a feature or an epic even. So it has to be small. Testable, again, by the time we move to acceptance criteria, you will see what we mean by a user story being testable. Because how would you know that you have completed something if there's no checklist, you know, for you to go through to say, this item or this product or this process has ticked all the boxes, has met all the requirements. That's the only way we can agree that, yes, development is complete. If you want to think about it in another way, remember that you are, as a business analyst, you're trying to deliver value to the organization you're working for, right? So how do we know that you finished what we agreed that you are going to do? You can justify it when you have a list, a tick list that you're working your way through. So a good user story should be independent, negotiable, valuable, estimable, small, and testable, right? So we're going further into the final details of a user story. What's the format of a user story? So there's generally, you know, this format is usually written in this. So there are three lines, right? The first one is as a, the second one is I want, and the last one is so that. Okay, as a, I want, so that. So as this refers to the type of user. I want, what do you want to do? So that, why do you want to do that thing you want to do? Do we get it? So as a, that line will define the kind of user. Remember, we said you are standing on behalf of the user. So you see that this is highly personalized. As a, so you're defining who you are, or rather who the user is. In this case, yourself, because that you're representing the user. I want, so it's personalized. I want, so that, right? So you want to define the user, what wants to be achieved and why, or what wants to be done and why that thing has to be done. So as I want, so that. So it goes without saying that you have to fill in the, well, they're not blank spaces, but you get what I mean. So as right, you fill that in, and I want, you fill that in as well, so that you put that in. Okay, so this is an example of a user story. So it's not just theory, right? Okay. As an online shopper, I want to view a list of products so that I can select some items to purchase. Okay, so as obviously grammar and everything, you wouldn't say as a online shopper, right? So grammatically correct user story as an online shopper. So who is the user? What type of user? The user is an online shopper, without a doubt. That's very clear, isn't it? I want, what do you want to do as an online shopper? You could do a couple of things as an online shopper, but for the purpose of this user story, this online shopper wants to what? View a list of products. Next question is, why? You find that as a business analyst, there are some questions that you keep asking. Why? What? Where? When? How? Who? You know? Who, yeah, who? Who can be whom? Yeah, right? So as an online shopper, I want to view a list of products. Why do you want to view a list of products? So that I can select some items to purchase. So that sounds like a very, very simple, isn't it? It's simple. It's simple enough. Everybody can understand that. And that's as simple as it is. I'm telling you, and I promise you, writing the users, this bit is usually, well, there are technicalities to it, right? But it is as simple as that. What I mean is that you want to write a user story and break it down to a point where a layperson can come and read it and understand what you're trying to say. This is simple enough. Anybody that looks at this story knows that the person that we're developing this list of products for is an online shopper. It's not just a shopper that went to the high street. Okay, it's an online shopper. So the online shopper wants what? Wants to view a list of products. Why? So that they can select some items to purchase. Okay, any questions at this point? No, I believe I'm doing a very good job. Okay, moving on. Right, so we talked about epics, features, and user stories. So you see, I've used the word interchangeably, like I've changed user stories and I've put backlog items, right? we remember that what I'm referring to as backlog items are user stories. Okay, so what I've done is I've just tried to put everything together for you to see how an epic can be broken down into features, and the features can be broken down further into user stories. Okay, so on the screen you can see epic. So an epic, for example, can be you've gone to do your requirement elicitation, and you've been told that we want you to develop a website for Blue Sky Citadel. Okay, that's your high level. You see what we mean by high level. Develop a website for Blue Sky Citadel. You know for sure that there are so many things underneath developing that will fall under developing a website for Blue Sky Citadel. However, for epics, they are high level. Remember, high level information. Okay, so nobody cares at this point to know all the different things that will go on in the background. What is the epic? We're developing a website for Blue Sky Citadel. So that's your epic. Now, on further consideration, you're like, okay, what would it entail? Like, you want to develop a website. What are the things I need to look at? So there are so many things, right? But for the purpose of this session, I've only highlighted two features. Okay, so now I've broken this epic further down into features because I've started thinking about it. Like, now we need to create a website, but you don't just copy and paste a website. So what are the different parts of a website? Like, so what constitutes a web page? You know, like, what are the things you find there? I'm like, okay, there's a landing page. This landing page can also be called your home page. So if you think about it, if you go on Google and type in a web address, a URL, you would land somewhere, isn't it? And that's why we're calling it a landing page. So we will call it the home page. So what would I use now? Which example? Well, I can't think of anything just now. But when you go on Google or whatever search engine you have and you type in a web address, you know that you will land on a certain page. Whatever platform it is, you will land somewhere. That's what we're calling the landing page or the home page. Okay. Now, another thing you want to consider, or rather that this person that wrote this thing has considered is, okay, there's some other things that, you see this website, maybe you've been told Blue Sky Citadel. Blue Sky Citadel is a learning platform, right? So we want to restrict access, right? We want to restrict access. We don't want just anybody. So yeah, people can come on the landing page, but we want to restrict access to only include those people maybe that have paid or that have been registered or logged on in the past. Okay, we're going to create another feature called authentication. Okay, so if you can see what we've done here now, we've split that work into two features because we're considering all the different aspects to having or developing a website. So in this case, we have a landing page, we have authentication. Like I said, there are loads of other features that will come in, but we're keeping it simple, short and sweet today. So we have broken the epic into two features, landing page and authentication. Guess what? You can't just go and create a landing page. Like, a landing page has content, isn't it? It has some other things that are on there. So you now keep thinking, okay, on my landing page, what can I put on there? Right. So your landing page, you might have a number of different stories. So like you could have the first one to say, to create the base, you know, like the landing page itself. And then, you know, that if you go to a website, right, you see like a bar at the extreme top, right, at the top of the page. And it has things like, maybe you see your logo, you can see maybe contacts, you can see maybe like a search bar, you can see some things like that, you know, sign in and all that kind of stuff. We call that the header. Okay, that's the header of the page. So that's why we say header menu. Now, if you scroll to the bottom of your page, in fact, let me even give you a good example. So when you log into your bank, your banking app, right? You will see stuff at the top, isn't it? You must see stuff at the top. Maybe you're okay before you even log in. So if you go say Halifax or Bank of Royal RBS or wherever, yeah. I was going to say Bank of Scotland because I'm in Scotland. So yeah, when you type in whatever, say RBS, and takes you to that landing page, you will then see stuff. You will see the logo at the top, isn't it? Usually top left, you know. And then if you look further down, you might see like a search bar, you might see stuff like login or register or whatever, or sign in, you know. So all those things are the content of your header, right? Header menu, right? So that's why we said header menu. Now, if you scroll down that bank page, you know that your landing page, if you scroll down to the bottom, what do you find there? At the bottom of the page, of any web page, you find things like privacy policy, contact us, terms and condition. You might see email links, you know, addresses, you can, all those kind of things, right, at the bottom of the page. Frequently asked questions, stuff like that. So those are components of the footer, right? So that's why we've said footer menu. Okay. Now moving on to another feature, the authentication feature. What does authentication mean? It means like you want to be verified. You want to be able to access the system with details, get those details registered onto the system, and get the system to remember your details so that next time when you come in, you can access the system, isn't it? So that's what we mean by authentication. Under authentication, we've put 3 user stories: sign up, login, password. So the sign up one will be like for a first-time user, and then the login will be for a registered user. So you've already signed up in the past, and now you're coming back to log in and access the system. Password, you know how we have to do like password reset, like did you forget your password, stuff like that. Okay, so epics, features, and user stories. So we've broken the epic to 2 features and broken the features. In fact, we've broken each feature to 3 user stories. So we have a total of 6 user stories. Okay, this is just more just like, it's not even a continuation, it's just another example. So in this case, I've said again, create a landing page for the Blue Sky website, right? Now, in this case, let me take this back to show you something. Remember, I said that okay, Juwon, your hand is up.
Now, if you can further, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
If you can further break down the user story, for instance, header menu, if you can further break it down to smaller bits, do you now move header menu to become a feature?
Yeah, so you see, what you said is a very good question, and it leads me to the next page. So are you reading my book? Okay. So if you remember, I said depending on the size of the organization, your user stories or your epics can be so I've just given a simple example of developing a website for Blue Sky. What if it was developing I don't even know what I'll say that will be bigger than a website now. You know what, let's move on. But what I'm trying to say is that depending on the complexity and the size of that organization, your epics might mean something totally different. So you see how Juwon has mentioned about breaking the header menu down. So for some projects, this header menu is sufficient, right? It's a small enough user story. However, for some other projects, they will break it down. Have you seen what I've done here now? The same epic, so we're assuming that this is like organization A, right? Or company A, right? Their features were what? Landing page and authentication. And then they had all those user stories. For company B, look at the feature. Just like he mentioned, we've now broken it down to header menu and footer menu. So they didn't even bother wasting time to say landing page authentication. They're going right down because they know that these features have to be broken further down. So that was well spotted. And this is a good example to show you. The header menu has now been broken down into what? You know, I was saying logo, you know, you can have like your home, your home thingy that if you click on it, you always come back to the home page. You have like the sign up feature there, the login functionality, you have a search bar, you have about us. You can have all those things at the top, right? So they've broken it down this way: header menu, footer menu. Remember, like I said, the footer menu could have your contact us, privacy policy, frequently asked questions. You can have links to your social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and all that. So does that answer your question, Naju? You were the one that asked the question. No,
Yes, yes, it does. Sorry, omission is sometimes the problem. Yes, it does.
Okay, that's fine. Right. So it all depends on how complex the work involved is. Okay, this is just another story for sign up. Okay, so I was giving you, yeah. So this is now, this is also going into more detail with the user story. So for example, you see how we said, right, Epic creating landing page for the Blue Sky website, and the feature was the header menu, and we broke it down. So one of the user stories is what? Sign up, right? Now, it could very well be that we're writing a sign up story like this as a new user. Because again, you know, we said that for the user stories, we have to indicate what kind of user. So this, as a new user or maybe a first-time user, I want to sign up by creating a username and password. Why? So that the system can remember me and my data. That's simple enough, isn't it? Well, simple enough for the BAs, because it's the developers that would then have to kind of figure out how to create this functionality. But anybody can pick this up and look at it and understand what you're trying to say as a what? A new user. So it's not, because a registered user will not be able to sign up again, you know. So it's a new user that would sign up. So as a new user, I want to sign up by creating a username and password so that the system can remember me and my data. So I'm not saying that I've broken sign up into two stories. I'm just showing you that sign up can mean different things, right? Okay, so this is, yeah, so it can mean different things. Another one says, as a newly registered user, I want to receive an email confirmation when I register so that we know that the registration process is complete. So you know how in a lot of cases, when you sign up to something, you put in your email address, isn't it? And then you get confirmation to say, welcome, something, you get a welcome email and all that. And then you know that, okay, the whole process has been completed, okay? So that could, the first user story could be your sign-up story, or the second one, depending on what you're trying to achieve. Okay, so I gave some further details, some further examples for login as a registered user. So you see what we did here now. The person that's logging in is already a registered user or a user that has already signed in, okay? Or you can say as a return user, something like that. But you want to qualify the user. What type of user is this? So as a registered user, I want to log in with my username and password so that the system can authenticate me and I can trust it. Okay. As a registered user, I want to occasionally change my password so that I can keep it secure. Okay, so that's that password functionality, change password. As a user, as a registered user, I want to be able to request a new password so that I don't permanently lose access to my data if I forget my password. So you see, these three stories, they've been broken down to a point where a layperson can see it and understand, and it makes sense to them, because you're like, I want to occasionally change my password. You're like, yeah, because sometimes it might be the case that, you know, my password is no more secure. For example, you know how sometimes people's you might have like a security breach or something, and then you're like, oh, I need to change my password on all platforms and all all platforms I'm using. So you go access this platform and you want to have the ability to change your password. Or what if I just want, not because I forgot it, I just want to, okay, so this one is for when you forget it. The last scenario is for when you forget it. Like, okay, I just want to request a new password, yeah, because I can't remember the old one. So anybody that picks this story, any of these stories, they can understand, they can relate to it, you know. So it's so simple that you can relate to it. Please remember, as a BA, your task is not to make things sound very bogus and complex and use all the big grammar. It's to simplify things. Because a lot of times, you see where we said you're bridging the gap between the business and IT. A lot of times, IT people, developers, they use a lot of big, not grammar or words, like they have their own technical jargon, right? Like things that the business cannot really understand. Even you might sometimes struggle to understand what they're saying, and you'll be like, please speak that in simple English, like in plain English, you know, in layman's English. You are there to demystify things, okay, not to complicate things. You are there to help the business pass on their requirements, and then to show them how those requirements will be, to come with a solution really for those requirements. You want to simplify everything. So when you look at these stories, they are so simple that anybody can relate to them. Right. So before we move on, let me see. Do we have any questions in terms of user stories before we move on to acceptance criteria? Any questions? Okay. All right. So I'm going to ask you guys the question now, because I've been talking for what? I need a drink now. We have at least 20. We have 21 people here. Taking myself out, 20. Okay. So I'm going to give you a scenario, and I will make I'm going to give you a scenario, and then or an epic or a feature, and I'll ask you to form or come up with the user story. Okay, for example, let's make jollof rice. So who can attempt like giving us a user story, you know, under that feature? Cook jollof rice, for example. Yeah. Can anybody attempt it? Okay, Joel, please go on.
For how many people?
CBA, business analysis is in your blood. Okay, we're not going to that level of detail. Just make something up. Yeah. But again, that is a good question. Like, so if you were in a meeting with a product owner or stakeholders, you know, you say, I want to make jollof rice. The first thing you'll be asking, how many people? Do you want it hot and spicy? Do you want it this? You know, so all those are the questions you'll be asking. For how many people? Why do you want it? When do you want it? Where do you want it delivered? Do you want, you know, how do you want it to be packed, you know, in takeaway bowls, or do you want it to be served? You understand? Yeah. So all those are the things, and that will come into play when you're doing your requirements elicitation. Yeah. So rightly so. But for the purpose of what we're trying to do here, just make something up. I just want to keep us thinking about how, you know, you can. I just want us to practice it a bit. Okay, so jollof rice. What kind of user story would you? It could be anything really, as in jollof rice. Oh, Juwan, I thought you were going to answer the question. Okay, you just asked it. Okay.
Actually, my asking a question was my way of answering your question.
Okay. Hey. All right. Okay, so does anybody want to have a go? We can't all be quiet too. Let me just reiterate. As business analysts, you should never be the person that they come and tell that that's so quiet. That's not a positive. Like, you have to always, you know, come prepared, you know, have your questions. Okay, let me give an example, jollof rice. Unfortunately, after this jollof rice example, the next one will be a bit more, well, I don't know, it depends on how you process the information. Because I was giving us a simple, okay, Abiola.
I might be wrong.
Yeah. See, look, let me just put it out there now. Okay, this is the space. In fact, the duration of your internship, for the duration of your internship, you've been given a space where it is okay to make mistakes. It is okay to ask the questions that you're thinking that, oh, this is a stupid question, but there's no such thing as a stupid question. However, it's even if there was a stupid question to be asked, this is the place, right? These 3 months, you have the opportunity to do that, because guess what? When you make the mistake once and you're corrected, you will never make it again, isn't it? And then when you go out there, you are better positioned, you know, to face the world in quotes. So Abiola, on you go, and well done for going first.
Okay, the topic is jollof rice.
Yes.
Is it for the online?
No. So make something up. So you know how we said okay, let's go back to the format of the user story so that would help. Okay. Okay. So format of the user story, yeah. Yeah. So there we go. As I want, so that's the format you're going to use. Okay. So you're just going to fill it in. But when you fill it in, you've built up a story for us, and then that will make us think of jollof rice. If you get what I mean. So give it a go and let's see.
Okay.
So as
As a
As a consumer of jollof rice.
yeah, could be. So what do you want to go with though, Abiola? As
Nigerian jollof user.
or eater or yeah. So but you see what you said, right? You just only said so in essence, you're saying exactly the same thing that Joel said. You've only worded it differently, isn't it? So
Yes.
he said consumer of jollof rice, right?
Yes.
I might say as a jollof lover, or if I want to be controversial, I'll say as a Nigerian jollof rice lover, you know.
The Ghanaians will come after you.
Please, oh, I hope nobody should come for me. But you get what I mean. So you're defining the kind of user. Okay, so Abiola, carry on. So do you want to reward that, or so start again? Let's hear. So as a
Nigerian jollof rice user.
so you just copied my own.
Yeah.
Well, don't say user again. Do you get what I mean? Like, so you're not a user. So let's think about the context and if that reads well. Sorry?
Nigerian jollof rice to the world.
Okay, no, wait. Okay, so start again. So as a what? So what kind of user are you? Are you like the person eating it or what?
I'm marketing it.
Okay, so as a what?
Jollof rice to the world.
No. So you are defining yourself. Do you get? But when you say jollof rice to the world, you're defining the jollof rice. If you get what I mean, or you're defining what wants to happen to the jollof rice. Like you're saying, you want to. Oh, so you want to market the jollof rice?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Let's do this now. Let me help you so that we'll keep it moving. Right? And I get what you're trying to say. So you probably say as a Nigerian jollof marketer. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes.
All right. Okay. So what do you want to happen?
I want everybody to have easy access to ordering it.
Okay. So that
it can get to everyone easily.
well done for that. Well done. That didn't take long, isn't it? Once you had established what you wanted to do. And do you see how it started with us defining what kind of user? Because let me make it easy for every other person now. You can be, in fact, let me not make it easy for everybody. Let's leave it at that. So we've defined the user, right? The type of user. Okay. So well done for that, Abiola. Okay, who's going next?
Sorry, can I ask?
Sorry, someone has a question.
I was going to say, it is the end use as the purpose of the stakeholder, what he wants that would formulate your user story for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Carry on.
So, Esiagene, do you want to go?
Can I say as a
okay?
Sorry. You know what we can do? You can put your hands up, okay, so that I can see and call people. All right. So Esiagene, your hand was up, so that's why I'm calling you. And after you, Ellie will go.
Okay. As a food blog, I want some spicy jollof rice.
Okay.
So that everyone will go for spicy jollof rice than the normal jollof rice.
Okay, so first of all, as a food what?
I think the word is VLOG. I used to see it online. I don't know.
Okay, so I know. I'm just trying to wrap my head around. Yeah, I know what you mean. Is there anything like vlogger?
Yes, there is.
Because I know there's blogger, right? But the VLOG, I don't know. That one's out of my. So I just wanted to know. So let's define the user. So so start again. As
a food blogger.
Blogger.
Yes.
I want some spicy jollof rice. So that everyone will know that the spicy jollof rice is better than the normal one.
Okay, all right. So, good attempt, but I need to correct something. So you say as a food vlogger, you want some spicy jollof rice. So if you have spicy jollof rice, how would that? I just want us to think, and I'm not putting you on the spot. Okay, I just want us to think about it. So, maybe you think of a better example. So I
Okay.
like that start as a food vlogger, right? What
Yes.
do you really want to do? Because you say you want spicy jollof, but if you have
Okay.
spicy jollof, how would that make me not like to eat spicy? But you say you're a food vlogger. Do you get? So
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So as a food vlogger, I want. Okay, let me help you. So I'm assuming that a vlogger, right, talks about whatever it is they're interested in, isn't it? So as a food, or maybe, yeah, as a food vlogger, I want to maybe put up an article about jollof rice, or I want to put up a video, what they call these videos now, where they teach you how to make the thingy. So as a food
A
vlogger,
recipe video or something like that.
sorry?
A recipe video on jollof
So yeah, let's call it that. So as a food blogger, I want to upload or I want to put up a recipe video so that my viewers can know how to make a spicy whatever. So as a food blogger, I want to put up a video, a recipe video on spicy jollof rice so that my viewers can know how to make spicy jollof rice. That works, right? Okay, so
Thank
Ellie, no worries. Ellie, you're going next, and then Kemi Shola next. I hope I pronounced it right. And then Yinka, and then Somityong. And that will be us. We can move to see now it's getting interesting, isn't it? And people are trying this out. Okay, so we're going with Ellie first, and Kemi Shola, and then Yinka, and then Sematyong. Oh, there are more people though.
Okay. I was
Wow.
going to say,
Toyin. Okay, so who's going? Ellie.
I was going to say, as a hungry person, I
Uh-huh.
want jollof
Okay.
to fill my stomach.
Hungry man eating no me.
I hear they have hungry man. They have like.
Hungry man pack.
Okay, so let's take that again, Ellie. So as a
Okay. As a hungry person,
yes.
spicy jollof rice.
No, sorry. The line went bad. So as a hungry person,
I want spicy jollof rice
yes.
to fill my stomach,
Okay, no, change that to so that.
so that I can fill my stomach.
Yeah,
So
that's fine. That works.
that takes me to a question, right?
Okay.
Must it, like, you know how I say as a hungry person?
Yes.
Can I say I am hungry? Is it acceptable, or must I use as
No,
a?
never.
Follow this?
No, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's why we said there's a format, right? Yeah. So
It
yeah,
has to follow this format.
it does have to follow the format. Yes. So
Alright.
remember, because it's forcing you to think from the perspective of the user. That's
The
why it's like
user.
as I want so that, So yeah. Right. Okay. Thanks for that, Ellie. And Kemishola,
You're welcome.
you can now unmute Kemishola. Did I get the pronunciation right?
Yes, Kemisola.
Ah, oh my goodness. I tried to pronounce it like Yoruba people now. I saw S and I said, let me say Shola.
Well done.
All right. I tried. Okay.
Okay. Let me say, as a Nigeria jollof rice caterer, I want to start a eatery
Yeah.
so that everyone can enjoy my delicacies instead
Wow.
of going to
Please,
McDonald's.
can I say my postcode?
Please do.
Because your story is sounding very let's use the word sweet for one time. That word. So maybe the
Thank
jollof might be sweet like that. Okay. All right. So we're going to change things up now. Sorry for the next few people. I'm changing the story. We're not doing jollof rice again. We're going to do what was the example I used that time?
Pounded yam.
No, I don't want to use food.
I was just
Okay,
kidding.
why you think of food? And I'm actually really hungry now. Let's use heating. I'm assuming most of us are in the UK, right? Heating.
Heating as in heater,
Heating. Yes.
warming up.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
no,
Yes.
no, please. I'm in Australia.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah. Also, wait. So don't they use heating? Doesn't it get cold ever?
I'm using the. I mean
I think
heating, like, as in weather, summer, winter.
it's
those-
summer, yeah. But when
Okay.
you've got all the seasons now, isn't it? I don't know really.
Yeah,
much.
I'm using the heater right now. because-
No, yeah. Okay, but you're
So,
just trying to say that you're in Australia. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so who's going for? Sorry, who was that talking to just now? I can't really see what. Oh, is that
Elias,
Elias? Okay. All
Eli.
right. Okay. So Yinka, I know I've kind of changed the direction, and you were preparing for jollof rice.
It's
Right.
fine. It's fine. Don't worry.
Okay.
So as my friends are coming in from Nigeria, I want my system to work to a perfect state, so that
Mhm.
when they come into my house, they will be
Mhm.
warm enough they would feel the warmth that they expect.
Okay. So
So
you
you'll be warm enough to, you'll be warm enough to keep them with the same
comfortable.
temperature from Nigeria. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so you've captured the information, but it's a bit long, isn't it? So you said it like you're gisting me the story, isn't it? So
Mm.
let's just. But well done. I get the gist. So let's fix that now.
Okay.
So
let me put it together again.
all right. Okay, go for it.
As my friends are coming in from Nigeria.
No, so that's the first thing I want to correct.
Okay.
Remember, we said you're talking about it from your own perspective, from the user's perspective. So yeah, if your friends are coming to visit you, who are you to them?
Host.
Thank you. So,
Okay. As a host.
Yeah. So you can even say as a host to my friends.
As a host to my friend
from Nigeria, whatever. If you want to give me more context, you can do that.
Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah.
As a host to my
Find who you
friend,
are.
I want the eating system
Yeah.
to work perfectly.
Yeah.
So that it can keep them warm when they arrive.
Thank you very much. Well done. That's it. Well done. Okay. So if you already answered, you can put your hand down. Kemi, I think your hand is still up. Okay. Moving on to Semadion. So what will happen? Semadion will go Toyin, Hayden, and that will be us. Okay. And then we'll move to acceptance criteria. Okay. Semadion, you are unmuted if you want to still speak. All right.
Hi, as someone in Nigeria,
Mm-hmm.
I want the rain to stop
Mm-hmm.
so that I can be warm.
Okay. So can we change that as, so you said as someone in Nigeria? Okay.
Yes.
I don't, the last two are fine, but let's try and reward that first thingy. Remember we said you already have the structure as a I want so that, okay?
Yeah.
As a what?
Nigeria did not do it.
As a what? Nigeria?
Nigeria in Lagos.
You
Okay,
understand?
as a Nigerian in Lagos,
Exactly. I want
the rain to stop so that I
Okay.
can be warm.
Although this is your requirement, who are you writing it for? Is it developers or God that will make the rain to stop? As you want the rain to stop. Okay, but jokes aside, that is correct. Like you've simplified it. Okay, so well done for that. Okay, you can put your hand down now. Toyin, Hayden.
Hello, yeah, hello.
hi.
I'll say as a Airbnb owner,
Somebody has okay.
I want customers to lodge so
Okay,
that they can, so that they can have a fantastic stay.
that's fine. So well done for that. So you've had some think about it. So you've had please, English language. You've given it some thoughts and you've come up with something different. So well done for that. Okay, so Hayden and then Fumi. Okay, Hayden, go for it.
All right. Can I go as a manufacturer?
Yeah, whatever. I mean, this
Okay.
floor is
So
yours.
as a heating system manufacturer,
Yeah.
I want to produce a heating system that will consume less energy so that the users can enjoy less payment and still receive the service. Right?
No, you swallowed your words just now, please. No, say me, what to say?
Okay. Okay, this is it.
It's okay.
Okay. As a heating system, as a heating system manufacturer, I want the users to enjoy to enjoy the service at lesser price. Yeah.
So that was now.
So that they can enjoy the system at lesser price.
So,
Yeah.
so let me tell you what has happened here, right? Sometimes you see user stories are very simple, right? But that in the simplicity, that's where it becomes complex because you're trying to simplify it. So sometimes you have written the second line, you now copy it and put it in the third line and find something else to put in the second line. I don't know if you get what I mean. So, so have a thing. So it happens to the best of us, really. When you're writing user story, you'll be like, I don't want to keep repeating what I'm saying because you actually repeated what you said. You get so, but it's a good thing that all this is happening so that we can have all these examples, right? So, but in trying to simplify it, sometimes it becomes really complex. So what you're trying to do is that you want effective heating, or rather not effective, efficient, isn't it? So as a heating manufacturer, isn't it? I want the heating system to be more effective so that my customers can save energy. I don't know what they call it,
Expense, yeah.
cost or something. Clap for me, I did well. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, your end goal is that you don't want the customers to pay too much for heating. You want to be more efficient, isn't it?
Efficient, yes.
So there we go. Yeah. So sometimes you might have to move. You might have written it. You might have written 2 lines, and you're like, what am I going to write in the third one? Then you have to you think about it some more, and then you probably split it or move it around. As far as you are passing that message across, it's fine. Okay. All right. So you can put your hand on a Hayden. Okay, Fumi, and then we'll go to acceptance criteria.
Okay, I'm just gonna try.
Yeah.
Okay. As a British gas user,
okay,
I want to schedule my thermostat on my boiler to switch on at a certain time.
Yes.
So that my home is warm on my return.
This one is professional and user story. Yeah, spot on. I mean, you've already said it. So I'm assuming, it's not even assuming, you've already said the kind of user that you are, and you're trying to get the house to the right temperature so that when you come back, on a cold winter night, you can come back to a nice warm house. It's perfect. Yes. It's perfect. Yeah. So thank you. Jide, we are moving on. Yeah, you're late to this game or late to the party. Okay. Jide will go last and then we'll move to acceptance criteria. Okay.
Sorry I came late. Actually, I've been just sat down on my computer thinking that for some reason someone said we can join the other class for 9, so that's why I came late. So I'm just beating myself for that.
No.
But
it's recorded, so you can so you probably be
from what I've been listening to. Okay. So I just want to have a go. Let's see.
Go on. Yeah. Hayden, you're unmuted. If you don't mind muting, Hayden.
Sorry.
Hayden, yeah, that's fine. Okay, Judy, carry on.
As a football coach,
all right,
I want my team to win gold, to make Nigeria great as a nation.
Okay, so from what we've been saying, let's try and follow this format. Okay, so you actually follow the format for the first 2 lines, but the last one you have to rearrange the wording. So as a football coach, right, I want my team to win gold. So you have to use so that.
Okay, so that, okay.
So start again.
Okay, as a football coach, I want my team to win gold.
Okay.
So that Nigerian could be known all over the world.
Well done. Yeah. So that Nigeria could be great again. So that no all over the world. Yeah, but well done. Yeah. Thank you for that. And thanks so much everyone for attempting, and they were all good examples. Thank you. So the reason I opened it up to everybody was just to encourage us to start partaking, like taking part in things, because you find that as a business analyst, you have to like to talk and talk. In fact, if you don't like to talk, you have to talk. It's part of the job. I mean, so take it as your training ground to build that confidence, as in to speak up at meetings. You don't ever want anybody to come and tell you that you are quiet. It's not a compliment. I know that those of us that Nigerians, as in, we think that, oh, they say I'm quiet, it means that you're peaceful and calm. No, it's not really a positive. Like if they say you're quiet, it probably means they're saying that you're not confident. So that's something that we have to, watch out for. So thank you everyone for participating. Okay, we move on to see how interesting that was. Let's move on to acceptance criteria. Okay, so the first thing is that your user stories, as simple as they are, you can already tell that you can't leave them like that. So you say, as a football coach, the example we just had just now, as a football coach, I want my team to win gold so that Nigeria can be great again, or so that Nigeria can be known all over the world. Okay, you've written your story. So a user story without acceptance criteria is like a wish list. I don't know if we understand. So it's just like because how are you going to achieve gold? How are you going to make Nigeria great again? That brings us nicely to the acceptance criteria, because the acceptance criteria shows you the steps that you need to take, okay, that will ensure that that user story is completely developed. Again, if you picture in your mind, if you are being paid like on a contract basis, until that product is developed, you probably might not be paid. So that's like your agreement. Like when this happens, the project is completed, and then the business will be like, oh, well done, we can now pay you. I'm just simplifying it in that way. So without your acceptance criteria, your user story is just like a wish list. What is an acceptance criteria? These are the conditions that a software product must meet in order for the product to be accepted by a user or a customer or other systems. We said or other systems because you know that sometimes you can be creating a system that is going to be working with another system. Remember, we talk about, no, remember, you know that there are systems that speak to each other. You must have heard maybe at your workplace, when they're saying, why aren't these systems speaking to each other? For example, you might have maybe home office and maybe HMRC, and there's some information that that if the home office had, they would have, from HMRC, they would have made certain decisions, but no, they probably rely on you to go and get that information for them. And then you hear people say, oh, why don't these organizations speak to each other? You understand? So sometimes you might be in an organization and you have different systems, and you are faced with the question, why is it that these systems are not speaking to each other? Why is it that they're not linked? Or what they call them now, interoperability. That's one, but it's not user interface I'm trying to talk about. But yeah, there should be an sometimes you want that interface, like this system can connect to this one, can get information from the other one, So yeah, that's why I said other system. I went off on a tangent there. So your acceptance criteria also forms the basis for the acceptance testing stage. I'll explain what I mean later. Somebody's hand is up. Juwon? Okay.
I've been wondering actually, a BA, is it only relevant in the IT industry? Because even this very example of acceptance criteria, you started by mentioning software.
Yeah.
Can a trader not call me that he wants me to analyze his business, for instance? He doesn't have any website or anything.
Yeah, okay. So if you see, do you know this second definition? I actually added it in today because this training material, I've had it for what now? Over a year now, maybe 2 years. But this second one, I added it today. You know why? Because I looked at it and I thought about the same thing, and I was like, so you see, as I've been working as a BA, I haven't only been so a lot of the work I'm doing is relating to like software. One of the projects I was working on, it was purely technical, like honestly, as in their days that you just be like picking your hair, pulling your hair, like, why am I in this meeting? Like all these things they're saying, I don't even understand, like all this technical jargon and all that. However, this project I'm on now, it's more like a team of BAs, we're getting requirements and all that. So to answer your question, no, it's not only software products that BAs develop. So that's why I then put the second definition to say acceptance criteria could also be defined as the predefined requirements that must be met. Oh, sorry, typo there. That must be met, taking all possible scenarios into account to consider a user story to be finished. So this is a broader definition,
yes, it is,
right,
it is.
of acceptance criteria because as you would find out, it's not only in the IT space. So you can picture a BA as a process improvement person, as a continuous improvement person, as a change manager, as a process analyst, you know, it could also be an IT analyst. So whichever way. So a business analyst is always looking at things like, what is happening here? Let me understand it. Is there anything that can be improved? If yes, I've identified it. How can it be improved? So this can apply to software, it can apply to processes. Okay, so no, business analysis is not limited to the IT space alone.
Okay, sorry, I had to ask because even in some part of this thing, this presentation, you've mentioned that is the man that is between the developer and the stakeholder. So I'm like,
yes. So, but guess what? A lot of times, even though you're not directly dealing with software and all that, a lot of times developers will come into play. Let me give you a simple example. So you go into McDonald's, right? Let's say you walked into McDonald's 25 years ago and there's a long queue. Just for me to buy what do you have in McDonald's? Burger or a wrap or whatever, breakfast. I'm queuing for like almost 1 hour. Surely there must be a better way to go about this. You understand? And then maybe you put the program, you think about it. What can we do? What can make it faster? What can make it faster? You'll be like, oh, I've seen somebody trying to, as in they've kind of digitalized their ordering service, or how about we come up with a way where you don't have to physically go in, okay, and ask, okay, let's even start from scratch. Let's say 50 years ago. No, let's not say 50 years. Let's say 25 years ago, right? Okay, you had to queue inside McDonald's. So somebody came, a business analyst now came and said, surely there must be another way to go about this. And I said, okay, how about those of us that don't want to come down, get out of our cars, we want to just drive through, right? Okay, so guess what? There will be some development, isn't it? But it might not be in the sense that we're thinking like IT development.
Not in coding or anything like that.
It will not be coding. They will have to build, around the building and, put like the signs to say, okay, drive through this way. And then they'll probably have to, I don't know, depending on the building and safety permits that they can get, they may have to bust, let me use Ninja language, like, well, they have to create windows on the side of the building so that they can pass you your order, and you don't have to come inside, right? So that's some development work has gone in, but it's not development in the sense that someone was writing the code and doing testing and all that, yeah? But somebody will check and make sure that, okay, these, well, I find those things really small, the space that you're supposed to drive through. But somebody will check that, okay, an actual car can fit into this driveway. So you're following standards. So yeah, here we have our acceptance criteria. Do you get? So you have you have the standard, like the space has to fit one car, like, we need a window. Okay, the window has to be big enough to pass your orders. So those things will form your acceptance criteria. They are conditions that must be met. Okay, so it's a good thing I put the second one, because if you had asked me now, yesterday, I would have been stammering, but yeah, I'm ready. Yeah. So there are predefined requirements that must be met. right? Taking all possible scenarios. You see how I've made something up and I've taught, well, I didn't make anything up, I borrowed from McDonald's. But in doing so, I have considered scenarios like making sure that the path you create is wide enough for the vehicle, isn't it? Okay, that was 25 years ago. Somebody now goes again into McDonald's 10 years ago and says, okay, fair enough. You have people are walking in, people are driving through, that's okay. We can see the orders on the, no, not on the screen. We can see what you have displayed on the screen. Why don't we personalize this? And maybe there's even somebody that's like, why do we need to even employ 100 people when we can employ 20? Yeah, let's digitalize it. And so people that are tech savvy, you know, they want to come in, they don't want to speak to anybody. Yeah, people that are not sociable and very tech friendly, they want, or savvy, they want to go to this screen and order. You know, they don't want to talk to anybody this morning. Like when I've not had my coffee, I'm not in a good mood. So please, I just want to go to the screen, press, enter, pay. Yeah. And when my food is ready, you just say number 212, and I just come. I don't even have to say good morning. I take my thing and I walk out, right? So that's another option. So if you see, what I'm trying to demonstrate is that business analysis is about improvements. So looking at something and saying, what is missing? How do we improve it? Or if it's already there, how do we improve it? You know, so it can be in different ways. In fact, you can look at, we do business analysis every day. It's just that we are trying to make it sound more professional. Well, because yes, it can get complicated or complex, right? So you walk into your sitting room, you look at the layout and you're like, I think if I were to arrange it, I'll get more space, but you're already doing, you're analyzing, and that is it at the very core. It's not a business, but you're already analyzing stuff, you know, and trying to see how can we change things up, especially when the change is positive, you know, and it will bring value to the user. Okay, so that's that one. Let's move on. Right. So again, if you remember how when we talked about the user story, we said there was a format. So for your acceptance criteria, there is a format. But again, today I have added something else because guess what? There isn't just one format for the acceptance criteria. If you had asked me yesterday, it's not like I don't know, but it wasn't on this training material. So I said to make it more complete, right? I think it's best to let you guys know that there's more than one format for the acceptance criteria. So, but the first one, really popular one, is the one we call the Gherkin syntax. All right, and the format is given, when, then. Now, caveat, I've said given, when, then, right? Please don't be hung up on the exact structure. You must start with given. Okay, you must start with given, but there are times where you will have given and when and then. I will explain further if the opportunity arises. Yeah, but don't be too hung up on, oh, is it given when and then, or given when then and, or given, start with your given, right? Because there has to be a scenario, a precondition, and then depending on how complex the story is. I've written stories where we've gone for into refinement, and you're saying given and when and then and, you know, so it might not be that straightforward, but let's come back and keep things simple. This is the basic format, right? We are talking about the Gherkin syntax, given, when, then. So you give a precondition, given so when, so what's the action that's going to happen? When the action happens, what's the result of that action? Do we understand so far? Given certain conditions are met, when something happens, then this will happen. So that is a result, right? Let me give you, okay, so that's the first format. Acceptance criteria could also be written as a set of statements. So more like a list of pass or fail or yes or no statements that will mark the functionality as complete. I will give us an example. Please do not panic. Right, so what we've done now is put the two together. Remember we said that a user story without your acceptance criteria is like a wish list, isn't it? Now, for your user story to even carry weight at all, to even go, in fact, for you to even be able to go to refinement, you must have an acceptance criteria, or else there's nothing for the developers to develop. It's just like saying, I want to register by creating a new username and password so that the system can remember my data. And so how do you know that you are able to register? Do you get what I mean? So there has to be a list. Okay, so this first example, I've used the first format, okay, the giving when then format, which is called the Gherkin syntax. So let's start from the beginning. User story. As a new user, I want to register by creating a new username and password so that the system can remember me and my data. Acceptance criteria. So this is how it works. Giving, what's the precondition? I am a new user. Giving, oh, sorry, please. And when you're writing, please take out the that, please. Okay. I actually forgot to take that out. It shouldn't be giving that I am a. So it's giving I am a new user. Please take note of that. I don't know why I'm just seeing that now. Giving I am a new user. Okay. And I navigate to the sign up page. When I enter my username and password, then I am successfully registered and able to log in with my chosen credential. Can you see how, if you're able to tick all these boxes, then you know that the user story is complete? Do we have questions? Do we have questions? Can we see that there are steps? So what is your acceptance criteria? It's just you basically saying, when I do this, I want to see this. Okay. And if it does that, then I know that I have completed that requirement. So when I navigate to the sign up page and I enter my username and password, then I am successfully registered. By the time you're able to do this, then you know that that user story is complete. Let me give us another example. Maybe that will help us better. Okay, this is another giving when we, okay, I think I intentionally did this when I wrote this up to show you that you can have giving and when. Okay, so as a registered user, I want to log in with my username and password so that the system can authenticate me and I can trust it. Acceptance criteria. Given that I am a registered user and logged out, and I navigate to the login page. So you see that this person has defined the condition in details. So you're a registered user. So you've registered to the system before, but you are logged out. Do you get that? So you've already signed up, meaning you're now registered, but you've left that platform. You come back another day and you're logged out, right? Okay. So you navigate. So these are, so if you remember, I said that the acceptance criteria will help you with your test. Where did I say it there? It forms the basis for acceptance testing. Okay. So this is what the testers, you see, when we talk about developers and testers and making their life easy, this is what they work with. They will now start working. So even as business analysts, you might find that in the course of your project, they might ask you to do UAT, which means user acceptance testing. This is what you'll be working your way through. So if you walk away through this to see if everything has been developed correctly and if the system or the process is responding as it should be. Okay, so given that I'm a registered user and logged out, so what will you do now? So a tester, if I were a tester now, I will log out and then come back to the platform. And it says, the second line says, and I navigate to the login page. So I click on login, okay? And then I'm navigated to the login page. That's fine. And I enter my username. I put in my username, okay. And I enter an incorrect password. So you see, we talked about different scenarios. So this one, they're using the, that's what you call happy path and is it sad path? I can't remember now. But yeah, you can put different scenarios to test the system. Okay, so you enter your username and you enter an incorrect password, because you see that the purpose of this story is we want to check that we can trust the system. Okay, we want to check that we can trust the system. So what if, so if I enter a correct password, what should happen? I should be able to log in. What if I enter an incorrect password? Should I be able to log in? The answer is no. So we're going to test it, right? So this is what informs your acceptance criteria and how it forms the basis for testing, okay? So you now enter your username correctly, fine. Then you enter your incorrect password and then click on login. What do you expect to happen? You don't expect to be able to log in successfully, do you? So it says, when I click on login, then login fails with an error message stating that the username or password is incorrect. This behavior is expected, isn't it? So when you go on a platform, it happens to us when we forget, you know, maybe sometimes you're just in a hurry and you put in an incorrect email address or username, you know, the system or that platform has already memorized your correct details, isn't it? So when you put in an incorrect one, what do you expect to happen? That the login will fail. It has to fail. If it passes, that means there's a problem and anybody can come in and access that system, right? So this is how you know that you have satisfied, you have completed that user story. So when, as a tester, if the tester goes in and puts in a wrong correct username, incorrect password, clicks on login, and an error message comes in and say, oh, correct, that's good, that's good. So you put pass, you've passed, so the test has been passed. But if it now logs the person in, that is when you now say it has failed testing. And guess what will happen? The tester will raise a bug, okay? You will get the hang of it as the training goes on. So they'll raise a bug, okay? Bugs are raised when there are defects. That's when there are things that are responding the way they shouldn't, okay? Or when the system or process is not acting as it should, then a bug will be raised. Okay? And they will put the evidence there to say, oh, I put in an incorrect password and it logged me in. So the developer will now take it back to the process and go and fix what they call it a bug, right? Go and fix the bug, go and fix the defect, but something has not gone on correctly. Okay, so that's that. Okay, this second example, I put this on to show us that it is not only when you have given when then that you have an acceptance criteria, that you have acceptance criteria written up. You can have, like I said, a set of statements, a list of yes or no questions or actions, you know, that have to happen. So remember our first user story at the start. As an online shopper, I want to view a list of products so that I can select some items to purchase. Okay, so what are the conditions that must be met for me to know that this user story is complete? Number one, when I click the product list opens up in a new tab. Okay, if I do that, and the product is open, okay, it has passed that stage. Remember we said pass or fail, yes or no, okay? So if it responds the way it should, what will happen? You will take that pass or yes. Number two, different product categories are listed. Okay, so when it opens in a new tab, what happens? You can see different product categories. You know how like when you go shopping, say like you go to Next and you want to buy, let's do clothes, okay? Let's do interesting stuff, clothes. Now, you know that when you click on maybe fashion, I don't know what's next we'll call it, I don't know. They would have different categories. So they would have men, women, kids, blah, blah, blah. In fact, they could have men, women, kids, and under kids, they will have boys and girls. You get what I'm trying to say? So there are categories, right? Okay, so for this website, we're saying that when the product list opens up in a new tab, you can now see the different product categories listed out. When you see that, you take that one again, pass. Okay, if I select a category, I want specific related products to be displayed. So if I click on women, because I'm a woman, and I now see specific products that are related to the kind of things I would wear, right? That women would wear. being displayed. If that happens, I will take this one as what? Pass. Now, a number of products have been listed. If I now click on a specific product and it gives me the option to add to basket, what has happened? That step has been passed as well, isn't it? Okay. If I now click on the add to basket option and the selected product is now moved to my basket, results, that's what we're expecting to see. So if I fulfilled all these conditions, I can say that this user story is complete. Okay, do we understand that so far? Yeah. Yes, we all do, because I'm doing such a good job. All right. Okay. Now let's go to the practical side of things. I'm going to stop sharing that one, and then you can still hear me, right? And I'm going to go to the board. Nobody answered me.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Perfect job backlog items. All right. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen again so you can see this in practice. New share. Sure. Okay. And everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Which one is Azure DevOps needs to update your authentication? Please don't. Okay, so you can see my screen. Right. So can I get confirmation, right, that you have seen, you've been on the board since you joined? Have you?
Nope.
No.
Some people were just integrated into it yesterday. Yes, I guess those ones are supposed to put us through.
Right.
No.
Okay, so you've not yet been like onboarded and all that. Okay, that's fine. Right. So let's take it that I'm showing you some interesting stuff here, but you haven't seen this before. Okay, so let's assume, so this is an old board, right? And that's why it's got lots of stuff. And you see my name here a lot. It's an old project. Okay, so this is your board.
Sorry, that second one, it doesn't have a name. That's what I said, the second syntax. It's not called anything.
No. It's not, it doesn't have a name. It's just, in fact, most people just use that given when then, but it depends on the kind of projects, because not every project can come in that format, given when then. In fact, a good example is that the project I just finished working on, we're using given when then, but I just started a new project on Monday. They don't use given when then anything, just statements. This should have happened. This will be completed. That should be done. So it's like a tick list. We're just going to be working our way through. So the timing was quite good in that I was able to incorporate it into the training material. So Gherkin syntax is not the only format, it's not the only way. So it's just a set of conditions. There are set of criteria, yeah. So if it works in your organization, then you would use that. If it doesn't, you use the other one, the statements. Okay, so now that I know that I have the pleasure of showing you this for the first time, let's just play around a bit. Right, so board, let me not play and now leave what I want to show you. Let me see. The board. So when you go, oh gosh, let this thing know. In fact, I think I'll just mind my business and stick to one thing. The way this thing is behaving, the behavior is not as expected. Okay, so when you go on the board, let me just show you. We have BAs here, right? So, see my name everywhere. As a hardworking BA. Look at. So you see all these. So they will call them. Some people call them tickets, right? But let me show you something here. Can you see where I just clicked? Epics, features, and backlog items. Everybody
Yes.
Yeah, cool. So you can see that, right? Epics, features, backlog items. So this is what we're talking about. Epics, features, so let's click on the epics. Okay, in this one we've got one epic. Okay, let's see features. So we see header, main body, and footer. They all have like different icons. Okay. And then if we go to backlog items, then you have, so these are your tickets or your user stories, okay? Let me show you how it will look like before we then create one. Let's go to header. Look for a good one. Oh, which one will I even show you? Okay, let's do this one. Okay, hoping everything is still on there. Ah, this one is a big one. Okay, anyway, it doesn't matter. But this is how it would look like, right? When you click on it, this is you need to own this. This is where you do your work as a BA. Okay, so when you click on that, so you have the title of the user story. In this case, it's create events menu blog. So yeah, it might not really mean a lot to you just now, but yeah, that's the title then. And then here you can see, okay, right. You can see the user story here as a user. So you can specify what kind of user, but we just kept it simple. As a user, I want to be able to create events so that, hey, see grammatical error, so that it's even, there's other people though. Other people can view, doesn't have to be other now. In fact, it can be other, so that other users. Yeah, so cool. I think that is better. As a user, I want to be able to create events so that other users can view upcoming. So this one, the whole gist of this story really was using the platform to update people of upcoming events. Okay, so yeah, that was it. And then this is our acceptance criteria. So you see, you have the description bit. That's where you put your user story, and then your acceptance criteria, you put it in here. So this is a really old one. Okay, that's fine. I'll show you guys the new. So given I am a user on when I am on the Prep Major blog website and I click on create events. Are you sure I'm the one that wrote this thing? I am. And I click on the create event option on the events menu drop, and then I should be redirected to a page where I can create an event. So forget about that. I just wanted to show you how it will look. So let's go and create something. Okay. So you see this view. This view is like you're viewing it as a board. Why did I say that? It's like a board, isn't it? That you just put post-it notes on, isn't it? You can also view it as backlog. You can see where I'm hovering on view as backlog. If you click on view as backlog, see what happens. It would now give you a list, right? So it's the same thing. It's just that it arranges in a different way. So you still have all that information, but it's all in a different way. Okay, so we want to create a story. Somebody should give me a story that we can use, or if you can remember one of the epics. I think one of the epics was wasn't on land website, right? Website.
Yes.
Okay. So you see, come to this, right? You see this bit. I hope you can see where my cursor is on just now, where I showed you that you have epics, features, backlog items, right? Remember, we want to create it and start from epics, isn't it? So let's click on epics. Okay. Now, that's the one epic, very lonely epic that's just on its own there. But that's not our business. I want to show you how to create a new epic, okay? And from the epic, it will give birth to a new feature. And the feature will give birth to a new user story, okay? So let's do that. So can you see this bit here? Under backlog, analytics, new work item, view as board, column options. You come and click on new items. New item. All right. Now, because you've already drilled this one down to epic, right? It has already chosen epic for you. If you put, in fact, let me show you something. If you choose feature and you say new work item, are you seeing what will happen? It will open up a space bar for a feature. In the same vein, if you choose backlog item and come and say new work item, you see that. Okay, so let's go back to Epic and new work.
Oh, sorry, please 1 minute. Like, under this Epic, because I can see landing page as well. So can landing page be the same Epic and still on Fuchsia as well?
So it disregard what you're saying just now. Remember the examples I gave,
Yeah.
First, let's assume that thing is not there. Okay. This is the only board I can use to show you. Unfortunately,
all right, that's fine.
But if you remember when Juwon asked a question about breaking down the features further down, it depends on how complex your project is. So you see, in this one, landing page is an Epic. Let me show you something. Let's leave the new thing. Let me show you something.
Right, thank you.
Are you seeing this arrow here near the crown? If you click on that, are you seeing what happened?
Yeah.
It's showing you the features that have been created under. You see this
yeah.
arrow now near this one again. Are you seeing where I am?
Yes, please.
Click on that again. What will happen? You have the product backlog that's under that feature. Okay.
Yeah.
You come to this other feature now. I don't know if this one has anything under because it hasn't got any. Yeah, this one I think is empty. Yeah, but you get what I mean.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so cool. Right.
All right, thank you.
No worries. So let's take that back. Okay. Right, so let's create a new work item. Remember, we are under epics just now because we have selected epics. So you go click new work. Please take note of this, okay? Because this is what you'll be doing. This is where you'll be putting your information after, because for some of your teams, I'm your product owner. So when you come and do your requirements elicitation meeting, and I tell you that this is what these are the requirements, blah, 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 and you break it down to epics and features, this is where you'll be doing your work. Okay. If it's not here, it never happened. So you click on this, please pay attention, new work item. You come here. So we said, what did we say we want to use now? Well, let's use a simple one, like the one that, let's see. Let me take that back. Is it that one or the other one now? Okay, hold on. Yeah, okay. So let me take this out of here. All right, so let's say new work item, and let's say we want to do we want our epic to be yeah, let's just a landing page again, right? Or let me put it different. Create a landing page. Oh, what am I doing? You can still see what I'm doing, right? Even though I'm typing rubbish. Create a landing page for, in fact, let's say better, create a landing page. Okay. And you click on that. That's the only option to click anyway, add to the top. Okay. So what happened? Can we see it? Can we see create a landing page?
Yes.
Okay. So that's your epic there, right? So if you were to click on that, so you can see the title there, right? Title. So here, for epics, you're not going to put acceptance criteria. Remember, it's the user stories that have acceptance criteria, but you don't want it to be empty. So you just want to give a short description. To create a landing page for the Blue Sky Citadel website. That's okay. You understand? You remember we said it's high level information. Now, under the landing page, under that epic, we have a number of features. I think we had header menu. Let me show you. Can you see this PowerPoint thingy? Can you see it? Or because I'm sharing the screen.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, so I'm sharing the screen. Okay. So this is what we just did just now, isn't it? This one. Yeah. Now we want to create these two features, header menu and footer menu. Let's do that now. Okay. So what do we do now? This is where we are. This is the epic we're interested in, right? But we want to create a feature underneath. What do? You come to the corner. You see this plus sign. You click on it. You see, even by hovering on it, what does it say? Add feature. Can you see that? You click on that.
Yes.
Okay. Click on that. And you enter. We said header menu. Yeah, come on. Right. All right, so you come here. We said we want to put header menu, right? Header menu, and let's just save it first because we can always come back to it, isn't it? So can you see it there now? All right. So if you want to create another feature, what would you do? Will you come here to the epic or to the feature? Where would you go?
The feature.
If you want to create another feature, where would you go? Would you come to the epic or to the feature?
The epic.
You go to the feature.
No, you go to the epic. You go to the epic because that was how I created this feature. Remember the relationship. The epic gives birth to the feature gives birth to the what's now? The backlog items, right? So we go, if we want another feature, we come here. Are you seeing? If we were to come here, are you seeing what's happening here now? If you hover on the feature, what does it say? Add product backlog item or bug. So that's a guide, isn't it? So if you want to, so sometimes before you even click, just hover and see what happens. You know. So if you hover on this one, it says what? Add features. I want to create another feature. So click on that. And we said footer menu. Save and close. Please, can you give me 1 minute? I need to quickly do something. Just 1 minute, please. Okay, I'm back. Where were we? So we've just created the second feature, right? Okay, now, so you go in, put something there. What do you want to say? Header menu to maybe consist of I don't know. I'm just putting something random. Number of functionalities such as the logo and home. Let's say sign up. I'm just going to stop there. I'm just trying to show you that, okay, you would put a description, right? Leave the acceptance criteria. There's nothing to be done there. Okay. Now, going to the main thing, right? So if you want to create the user story now, the product backlog item, where will you put your cursor? Would it be epic or feature?
Feature.
Will be feature, yeah? Because that's where you see, when you hover on it, it says add product backlog item. Click on that. When you click on it, you see you have two options because you can create a bug, but it's the testers that will usually do that. So you're going to click on product backlog item, okay? And we said one of the things we want to put there for the This one is for the header menu now. So we say logo. Let's say sign up now. Okay, so that's the one we did, the easy one we did. Sign up. Okay. What was our sign up? Let's save and close so that I'll show you what happens. Are you seeing what has happened now? So the Epic has given birth to the feature. The feature has led to the product backlog. Have you seen it? So this, please take note, this is good practice. You shouldn't really have user stories that are not linked to a parent. Okay? Everywhere you go, user stories should be linked to a parent. There should be an Epic that connects it. Another thing again, caveat, again, depending on the organization that you are working in some organizations, they don't have feature, they just have Epic and user story. You understand? Like in my own organization, in the project I was working on previously, we only have Epic and product backlog. We don't have Epic feature, Is that a crime? No. Is that wrong? No. Is that right? In fact, there's no wrong or right. It depends on what people have agreed and the way your board has been set up. But this board has been set up to have epics, features, and backlog. Okay. You might be working in a project, they do away with the feature, and you just have epics and product backlog. In fact, the new project I'm working on, there is no feature or product backlog item. We only have epics and acceptance criteria. So so it can have variations, okay? You just adapt, but know the basis. The basis and not basis, the basic.
Sorry. When you come in, you meet a board already created.
Yeah.
There's a board already that you have to work on. It's already created.
Yes. So the Scrum Masters are the ones that will create the board. They will create the board, they will configure the board, they will get you guys on the board, so they will send you invite. So I'm sure in the next couple of days, or no, some of you said you've just been added, right?
Scrum Masters.
Yes, you've just been added. So yeah, so that's the Scrum Masters that will do all that. Yeah, they will add you, they will show you, yeah. So everything would have already been configured. So depending on how it's configured, you might have access to certain things or not. So here we are. Sign up. We're rounding up now. Sign up. Let's now populate this sign up thingy. So what did we say as a what now? In fact, I want to copy and paste. So there's no time. There's no need to be suffering when you already have answers in front of you. So sign up, right? What did we have for sign up? The sign up story. Okay, so sign up. As a new user, please, somebody should memorize this thing. As a new user, I want to sign up by creating a username and password. Okay, as a new user, I want to sign up by creating a username and password, so that, what was the last one? So that the system can remember me and my data. Okay, so that the system can remember me and my data. Okay, now you click on acceptance criteria, okay, because this one has all the information. You remember the other one, Epic and feature just had a brief, just something to say, okay, it's not empty, but this is where all the information is, and this is what your developers and testers will be working with, not the Epic or features. Okay, so what's our acceptance criteria? We said, did I have a sign up acceptance criteria? I think I did. Yeah, given that I'm a new user and navigate to the sign up page, even that I am a new user and
you can't paste it from that place to save you some time and effort.
Sorry?
Can you cut and paste
I don't know,
it
can I cut and paste from that one?
to save you some time and effort?
Will you let me do like that? You know how what they call it can be funny. PowerPoint. Okay, let's see. Where was I? There. I'm already boring you, Abby.
No.
Still,
Oh, not
1
at all.
done, 0. And this thing is horrible. Like what do you call it? Azure. See, there's not a lot of formatting options, because if it was like Word, you would just format the font, right? But Azure is funny. Okay, the old-fashioned hard way, and then the sign up page. Sign up page. What again?
Maybe someone can screenshot it and dictate to you.
In fact, I said someone should memorize this thing. When I enter I'll memorize this one, and somebody should please memorize the last one. When I enter my username and password, when I enter my username and password, what happens? Then nobody even, people don't have photographic memory. Then I am successfully registered, okay, and able to log in with my chosen credentials. Then I am successfully registered and able to what? Unable to log in with my chosen, able to log in with my chosen credentials. Okay, so that's that done. But another thing you would do, you assign it to yourself. I don't think I'm on this thing again. And if I assign it to somebody, it's gonna show up. What? I should be no, see me here. Right. So you've created that, you've assigned it. Okay. And what else again? So for now, that's all you need to do. That's what you need to do.
Assign yourself means what? That you are the one to do the work. Or what does
You're the one
that
that you're the one that did it. So it's with you at the moment.
Okay.
Yes. So let me show you something else. So we've created the epic, the feature, and I'm only doing one where's my own, this one. I'm only doing one story, right? There's no need to bore us or waste more time, right? So you can see that if I were to do that, that will come back. Okay, so let's take it back. Right, view as board. I want to show you something. So when you view as board, right, can you see that there are a number of columns here? There's new, there's in progress, there's done. Now,
yes.
Take note, right? It depends on how the Scrum Masters configure the board. Some people might say in BA, in fact, let me do your product background so you see everything, the interplay. Yeah, this is nice. Okay, so for epics, it just said new, whatever. But for the backlog items, can you see the different columns? There's new, there's ready for BA, there's in BA, there's done. So there's doing and done. This one, they broke it down like there's approved, there's committed. Please pay attention to this thing. When you create your story, it will be sitting under new.
Yes.
So where's my own now? Where's my sign up? I think it's that last one because the number is quite big. Yeah, it will be this one. Now, when you create it, in fact, this one, it might even be like duplication because I don't see the need for having
ready for
BA. Because ready for BA means you are just about to pick it up. So why are we even having this column? So to me, it's a redundant, column. So once you've done this, right? In fact, this new and in BA, if it's new, it's already in BA. I don't know. Well, I suppose if it's new and you've not written it up, you've just created the empty shell. You can put it in new, okay? Then in BA means I'm working on it, so you can see my name there. When I finish working on it, I will now move it to done, okay? Depending on how your board is configured. But please take note, when you're having a meeting with your product owner, Your stories should already have been written completely. So maybe in done. Okay. And you now speak to your product owner. So let me tell you how it works. You meet with your product owner. Okay, what are we going to do? What do you want us to focus on? In fact, the first time you're meeting with your product owner, you're going to get your product mandate. So you're asking the right question, saying, what's our product mandate? What project are we working on? What is required of us? And they tell you some vague description. And then you start digging. Okay, in order to do this, what should we do? How should it be? What's the layout? This is you do your requirement elicitation, right? And then you go and write up the user stories. You start from the epics, the feature, user story. Before sprint planning, you have to plan you have to arrange another meeting with your product owner so that they can go over your story and say, okay, that is what I meant, and you have correctly captured it. They will now, you will now move it to approved. Do you get? So this is how the stories travel on the board. It will now move to approved. So when you're going for sprint planning, sprint planning, your stories should already be in approved. Okay, because a lot of times the developers will ask you, or the testers, like, have the stories been approved by the product owner? And you're like, yes, you've been approved. And then once you've done sprint planning, they will now move the stories to committed. So that's the Scrum Master's job. So, but from here to here, this new, I can't highlight, can I highlight?
Approved means the product owner certified, okay.
Sorry? Approved. Yes,
means
yes.
product owner said it's okay.
Yes, that they've said. So you have that authority. So when you're going to sprint planning, you are confident that this is exactly what the business wants us to create. Yeah. So such that any other questions, it might be because maybe there was something that was not clear or clarified with the product owner. Yeah, sometimes there might be, but not often. Yeah. So this is how the stories travel from new to approved. Now, when they put it, they commit it to sprint, they put it in committed. Are you seeing that column, committed? Then when so it will not be here, committed. Then when the developers want to work on it, they will put it, they will go by the, so from this bit committed, you don't have any business with the story, you get. So the BAs, we have to be very proactive because we work ahead of the sprint. I don't know if that was mentioned to you, I'm sure you must say, we work ahead of the sprint. What does that mean? BAs will already be meeting with product owner before the project is even starting fully. Because when the project is starting, you want to have work ready for developers and testers. Do you get it? So you can't now wait when everybody is joining the team. That's when you now say, okay, I'm now going to do it. No, this week you're supposed to already have started, having those discussions with your other BAs. Let's arrange a meeting with our product owner. Let's try and see what the project is about, get the project mandate, So this is your area from this base to approved, and that's it. When it gets to committed, in fact, it's the Scrum Master that will move it to committed. It's the developer that will move it from committed to in dev. And when the developer is done, they'll move it to dev done. All this time, they'll be changing you see, this name will change now. It will no longer be my name because the developer will put it in dev and assign it to themselves. So by then, you won't be seeing my name here again or your name, And then when they're done, we put it dev done. And then the testers, the QAs will come. All right, you finish developing, I'm going to test it in QA. When they finish testing it, QA done. There's still more. When it's done, they will now put it, when QA done, that's it. No. When they finish testing, it will sit in QA done. Then they will not say, BA, we finished, so come and do your UAT. You will come and take it again. You do your UAT. When you're finished and you pass the UAT, you put it here, UAT done. In fact, once it's UAT done, the story is as good as done. That's how.
Can you ever go back from any of these stages to the beginning? Is it possible? Sorry? Has it ever happened? Maybe it goes back from.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because imagine when the developer says, I finished my work, and then this person comes to test, the QA comes to test, and they now find out that there's a bug, they will raise the bug. That story will not progress beyond this bit.
All right.
Go back during the next sprint plan. Is going to come here. It's going to come back to in-depth. Okay, so that's what will probably happen. Okay, so with these few points of mine, well, many points of mine, I hope we have managed to demystify user stories acceptance criteria and, you know, just have a brief look at the board. So I'm not expecting that you will become a pro now from what we've done. But again, as with anything, it's just practice, practice, practice. And please, now that I have BAs here, let me appeal to us, BAs, please. We really need to be proactive. We need to be talking to each other. So all the BAs in different teams, Dynamite, you know your groups anyway. Talk to each other, agree on a BA lead. The BA lead is not going to be your boss, please. It's not like the Scrum arrangement, nobody's the boss of anybody, right? But you need a BA lead so that it can make communication with your product owner smooth or smoother, right? So that it's not like every BA is going to your product owner. In fact, so because a lot of times your product owners are busy, not even a lot of times, all the time. For example, I'm a product owner in 2 teams. I'm also in those 2 teams. I'm also a trainer, as you can see. I also have 2 other projects that I'm working on outside this. So project that I am BA lead on. You get 2 other projects. So I've counted about 5 different activities and things that, you know, so PO time. And that's what happens in the when you're outside in Blue Sky. Your product owner is usually a very busy person that has their hands in lots of different things. So you want to make sure that you're maximizing the time that you're spending. So don't call for a meeting and don't turn up, or a product owner should not call for a meeting and you're not there. You're just making things, you know, worse for yourself or bad for yourself, you know, like, because you get stuck because the team will not have stuff to do. Okay, so be proactive, talk to each other, collaborate, right? And put your all into it, because you can only get it, you're only getting as much as you put in, really. If there's one other BA or 2 that are not, you know, doing their own part, do not bother about it and do not complain about it. Pick up the slack, you understand? Pick up their own thinking, because guess what? You are practicing and you are training to be resilient. You're training to be ready for the world out there. Okay, so I keep telling people, when I joined the internship, we were 4 BAs, only one was missing in action, maybe was away without leave. Then the other 2 made me lead BA. Okay, fine. But they weren't as, you know, proactive as, and I was also learning as well, right? You know, so that was a challenge, but I took it on. Second thing was, I didn't have my mentor was really busy and was hardly available. Guess what? Google is your friend. I learned how to write user stories myself. You understand? So I would write them, write the acceptance criteria, and when I get 30 minutes with my mentor, I will quickly show her, and she's like, oh yeah, change this, change that. But I didn't have that support for a very long time. I think from that particular mentor, I then tried to work with other mentors that were available. My point is, whatever the obstacle or challenge you face, deal with it. It will come in handy. If it doesn't come in handy when you're working, it will come in handy when you're preparing for your interviews, because they might ask you questions about when you dealt with conflict, or when there were problems in your team, or when you had a difficult stakeholder or a product owner that was unavailable. So if you try to reach me and I'm not available, don't complain. Take it that it's an example that you use for your interview. Okay, so anyway, this is the end of our session today. I hope you found it helpful. And just to say, please, BAs, let's be proactive. Let's turn up for our meetings, right? So that we can get things moving. the team depends on us to, you know, provide that work for them. Please make use or take advantage of your bodies. If you have any questions, just identify. I think they've put those all those information on your platform. Identify who your BA body is, your BA mentors. These are the people you want to know their names. You understand? Because you can reach out to. So, but in the first port of call will be your bodies. But every mentor, I believe every mentor is accessible. Okay, so if you're really stuck, reach out, and they would help you. You know, so yeah, we shall now call it a day. But before we go, one last time, do we have any questions, comments, or anything really?
A comment.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just wondering how easy it is for AI to replace a BA.
Right. So then a number of things that a BA will do that AI will not do. So for example, there's always a human side to everything. It's just like when they started automating a lot of accounting processes. You know, and there were software, like bespoke software packages that could do debit the receiver, credit the giver, and all that kind of thing. Okay, but the software cannot think critically like a human being, you know, and make those calls. So there will always be something. So if you notice over the years, the role of an accountant has kind of changed.
Yes, it has.
From more debit, credit, what they call it, ledger, whatever. I hate accounting. And I did ACCA. So, but I hate accounting. Yeah. All the manual entries, double entries, and all that. It now moved to a more managerial side of things. So it's management accounting, where all these systems generate the reports. You then make sense of the reports and make informed decisions based on those reports. So in the same way, in the BA space, there are loads of things that AI cannot do. There's loads of things that AI cannot do. So I believe that our role will change over time, you know, like the example I gave, but AI cannot replace a BA. I can say that one confidently because there are decisions you're making, right? Yeah, you can automate, you can only automate, what's the language, the English I was trying to say? You can only automate processes up to a certain point. So think about it. When you go on maybe like all this platform, say like you're trying to book a holiday, you now go on EasyJet a holiday package or Love Holidays, right? And you're hearing this nice music, and then it says for this press 1, for this is press 2. This is a real life example, isn't it? You press 2. Okay, if you want to press that one, you get to a point where sometimes the way it's been programmed cannot address your unique needs. And then you will probably be asked to maybe call back, or you will now be told to hold on so that you can speak to a customer service person or a consultant, isn't it? That's what happens a lot of times. So there's a point you will get to, AI cannot function. No matter how they simulate the thing, as in, like we use simulate every thought process, you know. So yeah, that's the answer to your question. Any other questions? Observations before we call it a night? All right. So I
have a question.
Okay.
Regards acceptance criteria.
Okay.
I want me to write acceptance criteria for every.
You know, how many devices are you using?
Okay, hold on.
All right.
Which one do I turn? Okay.
That's a good question.
All right. Okay, tap to speak.
Okay, right.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Better?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, my question is regards acceptance criteria.
Okay.
Are you meant to write acceptance criteria for every user story,
Yes.
One. And two, the way you can have one acceptance criteria for 2 user stories. You just group like 2 user stories and have one.
That is me trying to speak Indian language for you. Nehi, also known as
Okay,
no and never, ever, ever.
All user stories are supposedly unique.
Sorry. So, like I said before,
Unique.
your user story without an acceptance criteria is just like a wish list, you know. So you have at least so one user and one acceptance criteria per user story. In fact, you can have different scenarios. I've written user stories where we had up to 7 acceptance criteria scenarios. You understand? So that's why I said.
You know, I'm asking this question.
Yeah.
I have a friend who said he's a BA, and who said he's doing like he has over 100 user stories.
Yeah.
So I was like, the man was that, are you going to write acceptance criteria for all these user stories?
So what did he say?
I didn't have
for you.
Okay, you were wondering to yourself.
Yeah, I was just wondering. Yeah.
Okay.
Like
the answer is that the same power that he used to write the user story, he used to create the acceptance. Yes. Yeah, you have to. It's pointless, you know, without having your acceptance criteria. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
So you know what? I would just encourage you guys, take a stab at it. You understand? Don't be ashamed. So there are 2 things. Don't be afraid or ashamed to make a mistake, to say, I didn't. For example, the people that had a go, including yourself and a number of people today, you've left with something, you cannot forget that one again. If you made a mistake and I corrected it, that's you sorted. You now know the format. That experience is yours. Nobody can take it from you. You understand? So please, if you must make mistakes, if you must ask, in quotes, seemingly stupid questions, which, like I said before, there's no stupid question, please make them, ask those questions, make those mistakes, try. You understand? Try, fail, try again during this internship, because you have people that will help you. You understand? You can reach out. You have so many mentors, and even if somebody's not your mentor and you identify the person, you can ask your random questions. We're all on Telegram. You can reach out, you understand, and ask your random questions. Because everybody here that's a mentor or a buddy was once an intern. You understand? So please don't hold back. It's better for you to write a story with your acceptance criteria and then come to your meeting with your PO, and people will say, hey, what did you write here? And everyone will laugh about it and will say, okay, no, okay, seriously, this is how it should be. You are going home or going back and going away, having straightened that part out, and you will not make that mistake again. You know, so this is the environment to make it. So please, don't hold back. Write those stories, make the mistakes, and we owe you that duty. You know, we owe you correction, if you get what I mean. Like, so that's why we are here as trainers, mentors, and whatever. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, sorry, another question.
You so baby, am I doing the interview? This
No, this is the last one. I just want to ask this last one.
Okay, that's fine.
What if you write user stories? Your PO is okay with those user stories. However, your developers are not getting those clarity, are not getting that clarity from those user stories.
Okay.
So what do you do?
Right. Sometimes it might happen like that, and that story will get stuck because you have to take it back to your PO to say, see what they're saying. No. But let's leave him outside Blue Sky and let's come back to inside Blue Sky, right? Your developers are experienced developers. The developers are in your team, but they're not interns. Okay. So they are experienced developers. And more often than not, your product owner already knows your developer. So there would be an understanding. You understand? Okay. Yeah, there should be an understanding. If on the odd occasion where there's a misunderstanding, the worst that will happen is that your story might be stuck for a while, but then you want to try and clarify as quickly as you can to get things moving. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No worries.
Sorry, let me just add, let me do a variation of that. What if a scenario where the developer can't develop something to meet that story?
To meet
that story, for instance.
Okay, so that's why refinement sessions are done.
Not because of lack of understanding, but for some reason they can't develop something to make that.
So that's what I'm saying. That should not be the case because you would have already discussed this during refinement. So that is where the developer. So when you're doing your refinement meeting, you will go, you read out your user story and acceptance criteria, and then you say, right, guys, can you have a read? Or no, not can you have a read because you'd have read it. So when you read the thing out for everybody, so depending on the kind of organization, like in my own organization, you don't even have to read the acceptance criteria. You just talk about the story, and then you're like, guys, let's have a read and let me know what your comments are. You understand? Then they'll now start talking. In fact, developers, they like those refinement sessions because they will start, okay, we cannot develop this thing like this. This is how we'll do it. Oh, how do we circumvent this one? What, they start talking, and then I'm just sitting down and just looking. Then they're like, okay, change this thing to this. Add this acceptance criteria. I will turn to a typist. Then, and that's it. The story will be refined. So my point is that during refinement, that's where those kind of issues will be addressed. Is this realistic? Is this possible? Do we have the ability to do it? Do we have the capability as well? You understand? Do we have existing functionality? Do we need to upgrade or uplift existing functionality? So those discussions will be had long before sprint planning. You can never get sprint planning and then we'll not be saying, I cannot develop it because that should already be addressed, during refinement. And if there are any issues, you as the BA will not go back to the product owner. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, thank you.
So that's why you're welcome. So that's why as a BA, the lines of communication have to be open. Communication between the PO, communication with your team, because you might be going back and forth, you understand? So yeah, you will ask questions to understand, and you will ask questions to confirm your understanding. You ask more questions to reconfirm. You understand? And guess what? Sometimes they might be changing priorities. Something that you checked last week that was relevant is no longer relevant. When you come in, you can adjust it, so that's how it works. Okay, guys. I don't suppose there are any more questions because nobody put their hands up, and I'm using that as my way out. Yeah. Right. So I'm hoping you got something from this session. I'm hoping you enjoyed it, and more importantly, that you learned something. I believe I will meet you guys again when you do what's the next training session I'm doing? Maybe when you come to gap analysis or something like that. Yeah. So then for those of you that are in Platinum or Dynamite, we shall be seeing more after this. Okay, guys. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for the questions.
Please, can you post the video so that we can watch again?
Yeah, I would usually send it to allow me, and I think you can request it from the admin. Yeah.
All right.
So you'll be able to access it. No worries. Okay.
Thank you.
Everyone. No worries. You're welcome.
Okay, you need to stop recording.
Okay. The stop.